Hey, I'm Whimsy. I'm not very good at Souls games. I've only ever played and beaten Dark Souls 1, a game that I genuinely loved. You see, when I play a Souls-like, I am compelled to acquire the biggest and most impractical weapons I can wield. That, and I just can't help but model my character after the one and only Nuts from Berserk. But do you know what I am good at? RuneScape. Welcome to FlyKnight, a game that answers the question of, what if RuneScape was challenging? Now I know I might be late to the party on this one, but I have my reasons. That I'm not going to tell you. FlyKnight is a game where you battle other Bug Girl fanatics for your chance to meet your favorite Bug Girl VTuber. And as a resident degenerate, I know I'm up for the challenge. There is an intricate lore here, but let's face it, absolutely no one cares about the lore in a Souls game. Spoiler warning for literally the entire game. It's about 4 hours long and $6 on Steam. Go play it. I begin by crafting the perfect fly, then waking up surrounded by my dead companions. Oh yeah, I've definitely been here before. I scavenge the bodies for armor and weapons and beat up a bug. The game pits me against my first real enemy, and here I get a feel for combat. Combat in this game is based on movement. Your attack will change depending on the direction you're moving. Each attack consumes a generous amount of stamina, and you absolutely don't want to be caught without stamina in this game. FlyKnight is like baby's first Souls game, because there's no leveling up whatsoever. No stats means no stat requirements for gear either. It doesn't matter how stupid the weapon is, you can use it without the game telling you otherwise. I try to visit the locals, but I'm told to fuck off. It's here that I'm given my first spell, a kind of magic missile that does absolutely no damage. I meet a kindly old bug who introduces me to the fishing minigame. You see, fishing is fun, relaxing, and rewarding. Each fish has its own benefits, granting you buffs when eaten. Just don't fall in the water. I probably spent an hour of my total playtime just fishing at the various locales in the game, only to forget that I even had them. I enter the caves to begin my bug cleansing. I come across this big boy called a scarab soldier. I cast a spell on him, but unsurprisingly, he shrugs it off. I decide to duel him. Feeling confident in my understanding of this game's mechanics, I bait an attack from him, forcing him to let down his guard. I respond with a quick slash, but his shield raises just in time to take the damage. He punishes my mistake, and I make another one when I miss him entirely. I miss another swing, but it's okay because so does he, leaving him open for a well-placed strike that cuts his sword arm off completely. I try to go for his shield arm, somehow doing the same amount of damage but failing to take the limb off. I beat his shield until he takes another swing at me, knocking me back enough to nearly slip off the edge of the bridge. I knock his shield out of his hand, finishing the job. That detailed breakdown was to show you just how good combat can feel in this game. I enter this dungeon and have an archery battle with this prick at the top of the stairs. I literally run out of arrows and I'm forced to go kick his ass the old-fashioned way. While exploring, I pass by this room I can't access yet. We'll come back to this later. I make it to the next campfire and I meet a tall boy named the Vagrant Fly. Like a Dark Souls NPC, he's only here to spout vague lore at me and then tell me that I'm on my own. I leave and immediately get into another fight. This time I finish him off by chopping off his limbs and then kicking him into the Venus flytrap behind him. Not bad. I find the chitin scimitar and I pair that up with the beetle shield for some sword and board gameplay. I find this plant that's launching balls of toxic gas at me, so I decide to take it down at range. It drops an item called the Onion Helm that I immediately equip for the style points. Unfortunately, I did not grind these mobs for the other pieces of the onion set to show you. You'll just have to play the game yourself for that. I enter another structure to find a chest that contains a rapier and a buckler, 2 items I simply won't be using. I find a room with a half-life barnacle on the ceiling, and my first wasp samurai. He notices me and leaps into combat, narrowly missing me and giving me time to get a quick hit in. It's then that I realize his armor is dense, and I do oh so very little damage to this guy. Slaying him rewarded me with a very powerful weapon, the Wasp Katana. The fact that this dropped from my first Wasp Samurai is kind of insane. I also find the Sunflower Cultic set and the Sunlit Hoops, a magic rain that rewards you with mana for killing enemies. I won't use the Sunflower set, but the rain might be useful in the future. I get my ass handed to me by these two carnivorous plants, leaving me out of health potions and only one hit away from death. I managed to slink back to the campfire, replenishing my health and my potions. Now ready to brave the dangers once again and eager to try out my new sword, I make quick and nasty work of that ant that I bullied earlier. This sword swings fast enough that this guy doesn't even have a chance to attack back. I drop down these wooden bridges till I reach the bottom of a massive chasm filled with grubs. I realize this path I've taken inadvertently skipped an entire section, so I do the obvious and backtrack to explore what I missed. I enter this forest place, and a stick bug tries to jump me. At the end of this path, I find myself right back at the fucking carnivorous plants. This time, one of them drops the Great Onion Estoc. After that mistake, I go back to where I'm supposed to go. It's here I meet a new character and have my first encounter with Fly Racism. He tells me to fuck off, and so I do. So far the NPCs are absolutely living up to the Dark Souls standard. The next area is filled with these stone ruins that I run across, aggroing every mob below me. I find a chest with a mallet and the Rain of Bricks, a ring that prevents pushback from kicks. I'm immediately forced to face the consequences of my own actions when the enemies I aggro jump me. They proceed to kick my ass, very nearly killing me for my transgressions. I find another chest, this one containing the Wandering Monk set. A not too heavy and not too light set of armor, perfect for that Morrowind medium armor build. This will be my primary set for a while. I do a little exploring until I meet a new enemy type, the Pillbug Pugilist. This rolling bastard does nothing but beat the shit out of you with righteous fury. He's nimble and he can take a surprising amount of damage. I pick up the spiked shield and move on. If you couldn't tell, I fucking hate the Pillbug. I make a pit stop at the next campfire before kicking an archer down a flight of stairs. Finishing him off gives me the Mystical Twig, a bow that trades damage for speed. As a fan of big numbers, I decide to stick with what I know. I find this alternate path that leads to the room I passed by earlier. I cut my way to the chest and find the Piranha Plant spell. I love the exploration in this game. It tends to reward you for paying attention, and I genuinely appreciate that. I jump a broken bridge and kill some goofy-looking spiders. By the way, this game does have an arachnophobia setting. All it does is remove a few limbs and eyes from the spider. I descend this cliffside and encounter a fellow FlyKnight, who doesn't seem very friendly. He justifies murdering another knight before telling me that he won't be joining me on my quest. He has some interesting opinions to share with me as well. Finally, he tells me to fuck off, and I do. I'm noticing a trend here. I continue onward to the next campfire, and meet yet another new NPC, Calum the Dragonfly Dragoon. He's pretty happy to see me, though he immediately tells me to give up my quest and retreat. He tells me to send any other knights I meet his way, and I leave. It's at this point that I decide to take the nearest detour, and enjoy some nice, relaxing fishing. I think something's wrong with the fish? I backtrack a little and take this path labeled with a sign that says danger ahead. I'm immediately assaulted by these fucking guys. Even with my new sword, these guys still kick my ass. Clearing them out rewards me with Druid's Rage and the Reign of the Batrachians, a ring that increases your attack power while airborne. Situational, but it might prove useful in the future. I equip it and leave this cursed pit. Continuing past the dragonfly, I descend into these derelict ruins, then up this strange tower, only to be greeted with another wasp samurai. He gets the jump on me, but I manage to put some distance between us and loot the chest he was guarding. I kick him down the hole in the middle of the room, buying me some time to equip the Scorpion Naginata, my first halberd. Like Dark Souls, halberds are kind of overpowered. They're versatile, with quite a bit of reach and decent damage. This will become my main weapon for a while. Somehow, the wasp manages to appear on the top floor again, and so begins our rematch. Finishing him off earns me another katana, and I take my leave. In the next area, I meet a new enemy type, the Ladybug Sorceress. She casts this AoE spell that leaves damaging puddles on the ground. I make it to the next campfire, and enter the arena of FlyKnight's first boss, the Amorphophallus Immensis. This, floppy thing is an overgrown plant. I assume responsible for all the carnivorous plants around. I'm not really sure, but it has to die. The bottom floor of the arena is a death trap, and the top floor will see you under constant assault from the boss. After taking enough damage, it will shoot out poison, forcing you back down to the bottom floor. I finally remember to eat some of my fish and try again. You can actually avoid the poison by circling the boss. Kinda. Remember, it's not genocide, it's pesticide. I descend into the pit the phallus was guarding, and collect a weapon I won't use and the spell Row of Roots, before continuing onward into the swamp. I speak with the dragonfly again, who's impressed that I defeated the phallus. He starts acting strange when he tells me things will only get harder from here and that I should truly turn back now. I tell him to piss off and continue my journey. The swamp is where the game's level design branches out quite a bit, with a few easily missed areas and some pretty good gear. Taking the high road, I travel along these bridges infested with poisonous mosquitoes. I have a quick and fun duel with a new enemy, the Wasp Soldier. Much weaker and generally more numerous than their samurai counterparts, these guys are only a mild irritation. The control and reach this halberd gives me makes disarming opponents so much easier. I fall into a groove of exploring, killing bugs, and exploring some more. I fall into this tower and collect the mage set, and the twister spell. Taking the stairs leads me to a fight with yet another new enemy, the Spider Witch. She slows you down with webs and summons spiders to eat you alive. Well, that's how I think it's supposed to work. The spiders got caught on the stairs and just kept piling up. They didn't even try to attack me. I finish off the witch and her ladybug friend before swiftly moving on. I get into some backwater brawls with Florida's finest before happening upon a wasp samurai guarding this narrow channel. He ends up killing me in the middle of drinking a potion. Bastard. I decide to equip the mage set, switching playstyles drastically. I equip the sunlit hoops for mana regeneration when an enemy is slain, and the Rain of Lavender for passive mana regeneration at the cost of slightly weaker spells. For spells, I equip the Row of Roots and Twister. I decide to test out my magic on the locals. It's very effective. Returning to the scene of the crime, I'm bewildered to see that the samurai isn't here. Instead, I find this mushroom circle beneath a large tree. Here I find the mushroom druid set, easily the most based set in the game. I spot the samurai prowling in the distance, and I decide now would be a great time to try out my magic on him. I hit him with Row of Roots, then summon my carnivorous plant to aid me in battle. I manage to get Row of Roots off again, quickly switching back to Twister. I cast a volley of spells, but he barely even notices. I manage to chop off his arm, at which point, my own plant betrays me. I get up just in time to run and heal, taking the fight as far away from that fucking plant as possible. I chop off the wasp's other arm and finish the job, earning me the samurai chestplate. I stumble across the next campfire, where I meet the vagrant fly again. The vagrant fly tells me he's been leaving boxes of supplies around to help me, but the boxes only ever contain arrows and I don't fucking need any more arrows. I immediately throw the piranha plant spell back in storage, never to touch it again. I jump another samurai, this time finishing him off quickly. Upstairs, I find the Lance of Thorns and the Vine of the Bramblemancer, a ring that reduces the cost of spells but pulls from your health pool instead. Safe to say, I will not be using that one. In fact, it's at this point that I switch back to my melee reins and medium armor. For the sake of the runtime of this video, I'll simply summarize the next few minutes of meandering. I explore the treetops and collect whatever gear I can find, even finding and dueling yet another samurai in the process. I happen across this tower that holds the Frog Breaker, an absolutely ridiculous weapon that I love very much. I also find a magic cave containing the spell Swarm, a downright overpowered spell that eats away the health of any enemy you cast it at. So I'm back on my wizard shit again, casting wicked magic at my enemies, when I meet the racist wasp once more. He calls me the fly equivalent of a slur and talks about wasp supremacy. I should be offended, but I'm far too busy fishing. I take part in this cool assault on a castle of undead flies, aided by 2 surviving knights. I get a little distracted finding the ranger set, giving me a chance to try out more archery. I genuinely love this aspect of the game. Being able to switch up playstyles quickly keeps the game fresh and interesting, well into the late game. Charging up the steps and across the ramparts, we clear the castle of reanimated FlyKnights. They aren't particularly dangerous, but can easily overwhelm you in large numbers. My fellow FlyKnights somehow get stuck, so I consider them casualties of war and continue alone. I take a pit stop at the last campfire to empty out my inventory and finally put the magic stuff away for good. Magic isn't bad in FlyKnight, but I do wish there was a good fireball spell. As it is, the spells feel slightly gimmicky and very situational. I reascend the castle walls, fighting through the same enemies, only this time without the help of the FlyKnights. So nothing's really changed. This time I use the elevator and find the Sign of the Sniper, a ring that increases the damage of projectiles the further they travel. In other words, a direct buff to your standard arrows, of which I have a lot. I get some immediate practice with it, managing to take the head off of a wasp soldier. I find the Guitar and the Leech Ring, a ring that restores a small amount of health each time you dismember an enemy. This will come in handy. I reach this bridge and notice an area I can access below. Now, as the Fly Swordsman, I enter this place called the Tower of Anticipation. Souls of the fallen knights before me swirl about, haunting this decrepit ruin. I find the knight I met earlier on the brink of death. He warns me that the commander has betrayed us and the Order, that it was all a setup. As he passes, I silently vow to pay more attention to the story. Calum the traitor awaits me. announcing his allegiance to the Lunamoth.
Go on, my dear squire. Sway me. You should have heeded my warnings. Now you will die like the rest of them. You should have listened while you still have a chance. Never the mightiest warrior, but definitely the most persistent. Stand proud, FlyKnight. Finish what you started. Kill Lunamoth.
With Calum slain, I claim the Dragoon set and the Saurian wing, and begin my hunt for the Lunamoth. I equip the Dragoon set, a medium armor set with pretty good overall protection, not to mention style points. This ruined city is swarming with the dead, forcing me to carve a path through it. I find the Royal Knight's halberd, easily the best halberd in the game. I decide to stick with what I know for now. After all, I'm practically one-shotting everything I come across. I move through this area infested with plants. A ladybug actually manages to give me a run for my money. Without the space to maneuver here, I get stuck on her damaging puddles and die. I take an alternate path, eventually finding my way back to the ladybug. This time, I push her into the room behind her and finish her off before she can react. This earns me the Dung Beetle set, likely the best heavy armor set in the game. I find a lever to lower the drawbridge, granting me access to the other half of the ruins. This also gives me a nice shortcut back to the campfire. I cut my way through the dead guarding the bridge, then do a little platforming to find the Snake Slicer. I decide to give some of my new weapons a try. The Snake Slicer is pretty good overall. I can absolutely see someone using this for the rest of the game. The Royal Knight's halberd is downright stupid, doing incredible damage with a ton of versatility. Halberds really are overpowered. Honestly, if I wasn't committing to the bit, I would absolutely continue using the halberd. These tight alleyways make it really difficult to swing my sword, but I manage to push through and find another samurai. Our duel is short and awkward, as he kept jumping down the stairs only to get cheap shots on me. He actually manages to kill me too. Replaying this area gave me a chance to try out this cool hammer I found, the Siege Hammer. It sucks, moving on. I get cornered in the alleyway and stun locked until I die, forcing me to replay this area again. Eventually I make it back to the Wasp Samurai, this time fully prepared to put him in the ground. Opening the gate, a series of boats begin floating down the channel. I hop in one and let it take me for a scenic ride through the zone that's given me so much grief. As I depart, I'm greeted by the racist again. He calls me another fly slur and then engages in an impromptu boss fight. He gets a cheap hit on me when I suddenly remember to eat my fish, opening my inventory just in time for him to attack me. It doesn't matter though, he's dead before he even knows it, proving once and for all that I was the racist all along. I enter a massive cathedral, filled with all manner of Lunamoth's servants. They quickly overwhelm me, forcing me to kill each of them one by one. I arrive at the final campfire of the game, the eerie glow of the Lunamoth herself before me. The vagrant fly sits just outside her lair. He admits he should have left the fighting to me, begging me to finish what he started. Listen, that all sounds pretty important, but there's this cool fishing spot over here.
FlyKnight, I am no fool. I know what I have done, but I have endured the moth deity's apathy for far too long. I will command the powers of the cosmos, so that even the Archosaurs will be powerless against us. This is the only future we can have.
What's wrong with me? Why can't I kill her? I've blown 3 chances already. Is it because... No. Black out everything else. Everything but my urge to kill.
All the potential wasted. What else was I supposed to do?
The vagrant fly stands in the sanctum below, gazing upon the wings Lunamoth has stolen. He reveals that he's basically Fly God, sequel baits me, and then sticks me in his G-Man dimension. A perfect ending to a great game. So what are my final thoughts? I told you from the beginning, this game is great and you should play it for yourself. But do you know what truly makes this game legendary? Co-op.